Welcome to Perspectives El Paso. I'm Professor Leon Blevins, Professor of Government at El Paso Community College. I'm going to tell you a little bit in this opening of something you don't know about, and that is that in the 1960s, early 60s, I graduated from Wayland Baptist College, ended up going to Southwestern Baptist Seminary with the objective of becoming a Navy chaplain. And I ended up pastoring churches, and then something happened. I developed an illness, and when I went for my physical, they would not let me in the Navy. I was very disappointed. And so I ended up going a different direction, that of education, and ended up here in El Paso for health reasons. And I've enjoyed teaching and having this TV show here on the border. Recently, my assistant to this program got a call from a Navy recruiter here in El Paso and asked if I could interview a couple of midshipmen at the U.S. Naval Academy in Annapolis, Maryland. And I consented to do this. I love to do these shows about military, veterans and current military. El Paso is a military town, we know that. So today I have two midshipmen that the recruiter sent us. Do you remember the name of the recruiter?
Mr. Clay White.
Okay, and so we recognize him, and thank you for sending us somebody to be on the program for today. This is late November, almost Thanksgiving of 2015, and we have two special guests. Who are you, my son?
Hi, Midshipmen de Jesus, Jose de Jesus from El Paso, Texas.
You want to go by Jesus?
Jose is fine with me.
Jose? Jose, okay. And?
Midshipman Aaron Loya.
Aaron?
Yes, sir.
Loya. Okay, Aaron Loya. Well, we're glad to have you here. I see that you look very dashing in your military uniforms. I should tell the audience something else, and then I'll get off of me, and we're going to talk to you and about you. In 1995, January the 9th, 1995, Governor Ann Richards sent me a commission making me an honorary admiral in the Texas Navy. And I gladly accepted it and sent her a nice thank you note for doing that. As an actor and a performer, she had seen me perform before. And then I ended up with an admiral's uniform. And maybe we'll have a chance to weave that in, and you can see what I look like as an admiral in the Texas Navy. And even with the battleship Texas down close to Houston, Texas. And then as time went on, there were events that I did going to classrooms, such as Ascarity Elementary. My wife had graduated from there years ago, and they asked me to come down and do a program about World War II. So I went as a Navy officer, a lieutenant in the U.S. Navy, not the Texas Navy, the U.S. Navy. I didn't dress with those outfits today as an actor. I came as a professor. The emphasis is on your uniform. So tell us a little bit about who you are. Aaron, who are you? Are you a native El Pasoan?
Yes, sir. Sure. So I've been born and raised in El Paso, Texas my whole life. Lived in the Lower Valley most of my life. I attended Riverside High School, where I partook in various activities. I was a swimmer through high school, joined all the academic clubs. Mm-hmm. So my best friend, he was enlisting in the military. You know, I'd gone with him a couple of times to talk to recruiters, and my trip towards the military started with something as shallow as you know, looking at some nice uniforms and being attracted to that.
Yeah.
So with the rising cost of school stuff, I knew that was always going to be a big hurdle to get over, and I definitely knew I wanted to get a college education. So I started looking at my perspectives. My dad was a prior Army enlisted, so he told me some of the various options that I had. Mm-hmm. I did my research on the Naval Academy, and you know, being the overachievers we're bred to be, I decided that was the best route for me.
Okay.
You know,
well, I know that Socorro has a big program of Naval Junior ROTC.
Sure.
I've done some programs for them as Uncle Sam. I'm sure you heard about all of that here in El Paso and the activities that they were involved in?
Honestly, I was here in El Paso. I wasn't too involved with the JROTC and stuff like that.
So you just, here you go, into the enlisting.
Sure.
And then, what about you? Are you from El Paso?
Yes, sir, I am. I graduated from Cathedral High School. I was a former swimmer for them. I initially I was thinking about college my entire time here. I was thinking maybe going local. However, my brother decided to join the United States Navy in 2007, and since then I saw his demeanor change in his discipline, and I decided maybe that would be the right path for me. But I still wanted to experience that college and, you know, get something for my future. So I found the Naval Academy. Naval Academy obviously was the best choice for me, being able to serve my country while at the same time learning to become better at discipline, in academics, in physicality, and everything that I want to learn.
Yay. I notice your markings here. You just have 2 stripes on your shoulder. What does this mean?
So these 2 stripes on my shoulder means that I am a junior currently at the Naval Academy. Our ranking system goes by so. If there are no stripes on you, you are in your first year. With one slanted stripe, you are in your second year.
Okay.
2 stripes in your third year, and he will explain more as far as the 4th year is concerned.
Okay, let's move over here then. You're in your 4th year. You're going to graduate next May?
Yes, sir. I'll be commissioned as a ensign, as an 01 in
Okay.
the U.S. Navy. Anyway, so at least for the seniors, we're tasked with taking up the leadership of the Brigade of Midshipmen, the body of students of the Naval Academy. And within the Brigade of Midshipmen, we have various roles, ranks. So at least for me particularly with my company, I'm our company academics and drill officer. So for me, I get 1 stripe and my star. That means I'm a midshipman ensign. You can go all the way to 6 stripes. The brigade commander is only midshipman with 6 stripes, and she's overseeing the whole Brigade of Midshipmen.
Okay. Now, when you got to the military academy, let's talk about landing your feet there. What was your first reaction?
Oh, man, I remember thinking, what did I get myself into?
You knew it was going to be hard.
I had some idea it was going to be tough, but at least for me, the biggest problem I faced was homesickness. You get a culture shock.
Yeah.
Here we're surrounded by our Hispanic culture, but once you go over there, something completely different. Kids from all 50 states in the Union, the U.S. territories. So we're a pretty diverse group, and nobody's alike. Mm-hmm. So it's hard to, I guess, to identify with a lot of people.
Now, your first day.
Myself, both of my parents were Army, so they gave me some initial advice as to how to best approach going into my first day. They could speak 1,000 words to me, and honestly, nothing will ever prepare you for it. When that first day that I got my head shaved to fully get integrated into the Brigade of Midshipmen, I was kind of lost. I mean, it's kind of a culture shock to you, really. So I just looked around. I noticed the other head-shaven people, and I realized that I was part of something bigger than just myself. So that kept me going pretty much.
Regardless of whether you're rich or poor or middle class, you were all alike. You were all treated the same way, right?
Sure. Yes, we are.
How did you find your drill instructors and all of those things, your basics, going through the basics of learning how to be a man in the Navy?
So what's actually unique about the Naval Academy, we don't have drill instructors. Our boot camp, per se, it's called Plebe Summer.
Okay.
And it's run by the senior class of midshipmen. So it's an opportunity for them to find their leadership style while training all of us to become integrated members of the Brigade of Midshipmen. I don't know what to say. It was tough. For both the initial recruits who we call plebes. Mm-hmm. Like I said, we're tested, physically and mentally. We have to memorize huge amounts of Navy knowledge, what we call rates. We're tested physically every morning. We would do it's called the physical education program. So we go out there in PT. And at the same time, it's strenuous for the upper class because they're in charge of making sure everything runs smoothly, nobody gets hurt, everybody's okay, the mission's getting accomplished.
For I don't know how many years, but they opened the Sergeants Majors Academy at Fort Bliss in the 1970s, and I worked there, taught here at Community College, Valle Verde campus, and we'd go out there for one class with them on a regular basis. And I think I quit doing that in 1984. And I would come back to classes. I still tell my classes, those men would get up and they would run 10 miles in the morning, go take a shower, and then come to class. I ask my students, how many of you run 10 miles in the morning and then come to class? And when I'm asked, what were the best classes you ever taught that you had the highest achievers? And I say the Sergeants Majors Academy. Don't you find that true at the Naval Academy? These are a bunch of high achievers that show up there, and you're having to compete with other high achievers like you.
Well, the thing about the Naval Academy is that it teaches us to work together. So we are a group of high achievers, and the only way to make ourselves even better is if we lean on each other and help to propel our achieving to new heights, basically. Mm-hmm. Honestly, it's a great culture to have. You grow close with the people. I mean, here in high school, you get your close friends and everything like that. But once you actually go through something that is so shocking to you as going into plebe summer and like bonding with those people, those bonds will last for a very, very long time. Honestly, you're going to see these guys in the future because we all commission into the Navy or the Marine Corps. So seeing those people in the future and knowing the bonds that you have, I understand that, yes, you will have lifetime friends when you go to the Naval Academy.
So you start looking out for each person on either side of you.
Yes, sir.
Almost constantly.
Sure.
You may have answered one of the questions that I have in mind for you. What has been the biggest lesson that you have learned by being in the Naval Academy?
Honestly, that you have so much time to get a lot of things done, and there's always a new challenge that you have to meet. The Naval Academy has taught me that with all the time restrictions that we have, with the amount of things that we have to do per day, it is slightly a stressful environment, but it's actually preparing us for the stressful environment that we are sure to encounter when we actually do commission into the fleet.
Okay. Aaron, same question.
The
big lesson.
I think the big lesson I learned is that to get through some of life's biggest hurdles, I guess, you can't rely on yourself. Like Ricky here said, you have to lean on the guy, to your right, to your left. Otherwise, you're never going to get through the Naval Academy. You're never going to get missions executed out in the fleet. It's all team effort.
Now, when we were contacted about you being on the show, Aaron, we just knew you were coming. We didn't know that you were going to be added until the last minute. But it was indicated you were interested in naval aviation. Is that right?
Yes, sir. Sure. So actually, the week before I came home, I was told that I was going to be a naval flight officer. So I'll be heading down to flight school. So sometime next year after I commission.
For many years here on the border, I've done Uncle Sam programs. And among some of the highlights were being Uncle Sam performing for some of the Blue Angels when they would be performing here. And they'd have a big tent set up, and I'd go over there and dance for Blue Angels while they were eating before they would be doing some of their routines. I assume you've seen the Blue Angels perform?
Yes, I have.
You've seen the Blue Angels perform?
Yes, sir.
Wonderful team. Top Gun, okay, they made a movie about Top Gun. Wasn't the star in that? That was a naval aviator in that movie?
Yes, he was.
Okay. Well, let's become high achievers. You're already high achievers, but you're looking at flying some of the most sophisticated, most expensive equipment ever built. How do you feel about that?
I'm excited to be tasked with the challenge. As a naval flight officer, I'm actually not the pilot, so I would serve as so depending on the type of aircraft that I fly, I would serve as a weapon systems officer, as an electronic warfare officer, as a tactical coordinator. So we don't find out what we're going to fly until we're done with flight school. So, I mean, it's up for grabs where the Navy wants me to go. I'll be excited to accept the challenge.
Have you taken any flying lessons?
I have. The Naval Academy, so during our summers, we only get, so our summers are split up into 3 blocks. Okay. And 2 of them are military trainings. One's a block of vacation. And this past summer, during one of my training blocks, I partook in the Power Fly program, where the Navy pays for us to get our first 10 flight hours up to our first solo. Okay. So I got some flight experience.
Oh, that's exciting. That really is exciting. Do you have a specialization you've picked out?
Yes, actually I'm working towards the medical corps. I would like to be a doctor in the Navy. I didn't actually realize that until I was in the Naval Academy when I decided to volunteer in a hospital. That is one of the many opportunities that you have at the Naval Academy. There's honestly hundreds of things that any midshipman can join into. But myself, I do plan on becoming a doctor in the Navy, and if that doesn't pan out for me, I would like to also be a pilot. So,
options. You have options.
I do.
time to think about it and what you're going to do. But at some point, you're going to have to firm it up and decide. I recently interviewed a veteran on this program from the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. David Watts, I believe is his name. And one of the questions I asked him was about heroes on the battlefield. And his answer was, the ones that he really looked to as heroes were the medics. Those that were there that were saving the lives out on the battlefield. Those to him were his heroes. Sure. And so that's what you're kind of looking at, going in that direction. Sure. What are your next steps here in stages? You're a senior. What do you have to do to graduate?
Okay, I actually just have one more semester of academic study. to complete, to finish up my bachelor's degree. And after that, really, to graduate from the Naval Academy, you have to complete 4 years at the Naval Academy, go through all stages of midshipman training and development. And it's mandatory that you do 1 fleet cruise, but I've done 2 of those already in the summers. So I'm just here waiting to finish out my degree to commission.
Have you had a favorite instructor? Someone that really was your mentor, your inspiration?
Sure, I've had plenty of those actually.
Okay, well you can name 1 or 2 if you wish.
Sure. So, for example, right now, one of my classes that I'm taking is Naval Weapon Systems, and I have one of my instructors. She's actually a commander in the Navy, and she's helped me out through some tough times while at the academy. And she's actually a Naval Flight Officer. So, after talking to her, she kind of led me to that path towards becoming a Naval Flight Officer. She's guided me through school and like some personal issues that I've dealt with at the academy. So
that's great. That's great. We need some mentors and people that inspire us. What about your case?
Myself, Captain Robert Calhoun. He was my chemistry professor, as well as I'm a member of the Men's Glee Club. So he is the officer representative for the Men's Glee Club. Honestly, he has helped me in so many ways. He's challenged me. He's given me advice. A great man, a great leader. I aspire to be like that man.
Okay. Now, you're thinking about, of course, this is a career, a long-term career. And you're thinking about you're going to go to different places. And you can't simply say, that's where I want to go in the world. I want to go to New Zealand. I want to go to here and there and so on. But have you thought about some of the places that you would like to serve?
Yes, yeah, of course.
Okay.
Me personally, I would love to go to Japan, position there. So as part of my academic minor is actually in Japanese, so I'd love to try that out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, we look forward to it. Keep us posted. Let us know when you end up in Japan, all right? And think in terms, how long is it going to take me to reach that point where they send me to serve in Japan? Have you thought about some places you'd like to serve?
Myself, I have already actually been to Japan, and I absolutely loved it. That would actually be a place that I would go. This upcoming summer, I actually plan on heading over to Peru as well to learn about tropical medicine. So my options are still very open. I would still like to explore more of the world as I go along.
Wow. We had a German exchange student that lived with us a number of years ago, and he's now a medical doctor in Germany, but he learned Spanish and he went to Peru and learned about some tropical medicines, and he's lived in Spain and other places. And you have to have this adventurous spirit. You evidently have the adventurous spirit, right?
Oh, of course I do, sir. You gotta have it.
Okay. Now tell us about coming back to El Paso. Now that you're back, we're almost here at Thanksgiving. Tell us a little bit about your own families and why you're thankful for coming back and being with them here and during this time.
So being at the Naval Academy, you get a lot of time, like Mr. Jose here talked about, a lot of time constrictions. It's hard to go out a lot, and you miss the simple things like the Mexican food, like being able to see my mom in the mornings, my sisters. So it's always nice to enjoy the little things, like be able to get up when I want, to go eat some good food, to have my mom, my sisters, my dad here, and go and see them whenever I want.
How often do you get leave, and how long are your leaves when you do have a chance to get away from the academy?
So at least while we're here at the academy, our leave is just like any other college. We get a Thanksgiving leave, Christmas leave, spring break, and then 1 month during the summer. But once we commission, we're back to 30 days like any other activity.
Oh, okay.
Personnel.
What about your family relationship here? Your parents still in El Paso?
Yes, one actually is. The other one resides in Washington, D.C., okay. So that's usually where I go on the weekends from the academy when I need a break.
In the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, no, coming back down here, I haven't seen my mom in a very long time, and she's ecstatic. I gave her a little surprise when I came back. She had no idea that I would be here. But overall, coming back to see my family again, to see my friends again, it's been a great experience. I always will be thankful for that.
Well, let's give you a chance to say Happy Thanksgiving and Merry Christmas to your mom.
Mom, hey, how you doing? I just want to wish you a Happy Thanksgiving and a Merry Christmas. I know that I'm not going to be here. I'm not going to be here a lot of the time, but just know that I always will love you, and I always look forward to the next time that I'll be able to see you.
Oh, wonderful. My mother was my inspiration in my life and growing up. What about you, Aaron?
What a,
Do you want to say hi to your mom?
oh, sure. Mamá, feliz Día de Gracias y feliz Navidad también. Espero hasta el siguiente día que te vea otra vez. Cada vez que estoy aquí, estoy muy feliz contigo y Michelle. Gracias.
Oh, that's wonderful. This is the time to be expressing thanks. This is time for us to be expressing thanks for some of you serving our country.
It's our privilege.
Yeah, it really is. And how do you feel about that? Sometimes people walk up to you and they thank you, and you're kind of embarrassed by them thanking you before you even have known them.
Sure. Honestly, I'm at a loss for words. I don't know what to say.
Yeah,
I
wow.
say, like, I don't know. All I can say is thank you for your support.
Yeah.
You know, without your support, without your, realistically, without your tax-paying money, we wouldn't be here. So thank you.
That's true. You have a lot to be thankful for. They're putting you through college.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. What about some old timers? Do you have a chance to visit with the veterans? I've done some veterans programs on this television show recently with World War II veterans, Vietnam veterans, Korean veterans, and now just recently with someone from Afghanistan and Iraq. What about sitting down and visiting? You have chances to do that and talk to some of the veterans?
Yeah. So Washington D.C. It's a huge what's the word? I guess a place where we
A
we
lot
have
of them there, yeah.
a lot of the veterans coming, especially our last World War II veterans, to see the memorial. So there's opportunities for midshipmen to partake in what are called honor flights, where you can take a World War II veteran,
Right.
show them around D.C., especially so they get to go see their memorial, the World War II Memorial in Washington D.C. So that's always nice. And also we have this program at the Naval Academy called the 50-year Link in the Chain, where we're sponsored by at least for me, since I'm class of 2016, we're sponsored by the class of 1966. So
Oh.
they'll be there at our graduation. They're there during our plebe summer to greet us and just kind of, I guess, be providing us oversight through our time at the academy.
I was in Washington, D.C. earlier this year, and had a chance to be there for a celebration of the ending of the Korean War. And it was quite impressive and see these veterans that were there and tell their stories and so on. Do some of them give you advice? Have you had some advice from veterans? They say, do this, don't do that?
They love to harp on attention to detail, actually. That's actually a huge thing, and I didn't realize that until much, much later. Overall, I think that is one of the things that, and also to take the Navy for what it's worth. The time flies by fast in the Navy. You're going to be doing a ton of things that you will love to pass on to other people. So take advantage of the opportunities that the Navy does give you. And if ever there are troubling times, just stick through with it. It always gets better in the end.
Okay. Now you've had a regular curriculum. Now you mentioned you took some Japanese language classes.
Yes, sir.
Have there been other things you want to learn before you leave the academy? Now you're almost out. You still have a while to go, Jesus. What about that? Things that you would still like to learn from the academy?
Personally, I would just like to take more of my history courses. I'm a history major. So we all get Bachelor's of Science, but we could pursue any academic major we want. So I love that stuff. I love studying the classics, the classical era, medieval era. So I'll just try and take as many courses in those areas as much as I can.
Well, you have a little more time. You've taken the basics.
Yes.
And now some of the things you'd like to learn before you leave the academy.
So myself, I'm a chemistry major. And it's actually a very diverse major. There's so many things that you can learn while you're in there, and there's so many more things that I'm still completely clueless on. Hopefully in this upcoming year I will be able to alleviate some of that, but I know for sure that there is still a huge scientific world out there that I would love to explore. So hopefully in my medical career, I can be able to alleviate me not knowing that much about chemistry.
Well, and you're also going to be running into chemical warfare and what needs to be done about chemical warfare and the kinds of suit designs that need to be done in order to protect the troops in such an environment. Isn't that true?
Yes, it is. It's a very prevalent problem within the world, and it's always a threat that exists. Currently, our Navy scientists and our Navy contractors are looking for ways to alleviate some of these problems to counteract these chemical threats.
Mm-hmm. It just came to my mind when I was teaching at the Sergeant Major's Academy. It was fairly new then, and I walked into the class one day. They taught, community college taught some classes they could earn college credit and transfer later when they finished, plus taking their military courses out there. And I walked in one day and there were like 4 sailors sitting in the room. I said, "What are you doing here? We're out in the desert. Did you get lost?" And they said, "No. The Chief of Naval Operations," I believe that was the title they mentioned, had heard about this new academy here in El Paso, and he's interested in having something like that for the Navy, topping out with the sergeant's level in the Army and the
Master Chiefs.
Masters in the Navy, and the chiefs, yeah. And so that's what they were doing. And then later they used this as a model, and they set up something in the Navy similar to that to help people near the end of their career to topping out there at that level. Not the commissioned officers level, but the non-commissioned officers level. And it was a delight to have them in class. Then they also mentioned this, that when it came to retirement, they weren't sure they could retire in some of these naval towns because they're so expensive, like San Diego and Norfolk and some of these other places. And so they might be looking at retiring in Texas. Now, I don't know we want to think that far apart for either one's of you about where you might want to retire, but we wish you well. We just have a couple of minutes left. Last words, Aaron?
I hope that people are aware of the opportunities that I guess our government and our military provides for everybody. Going to college I know isn't for everybody, but the Navy will provide a steady, well-paying job. And I think it's everybody's duty to, provide some service back to your country. I mean, it doesn't have to be military; it could be in some other, in some other shape or form. But I think we all owe it to serve our nation, which is taking so great care of us.
That's a good last word. Last words.
For myself, I just wish to extend my gratitude to both the United States Naval Academy and to the United States Navy for allowing me the opportunity to serve my country and make changes to become a leader in the world's greatest fleet.
Well, my new friends, I salute you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much,
God
sir.
bless you. Godspeed. Stay safe. Thanks for tuning in. I thought this was an interesting program with 2 very interesting and academically significant individuals. Thanks for being here today. I'm Leon Blevins.